What up?
Border Patrol. If
How
you
are
continue
you?
to follow us today, you're going to be placed under arrest.
Why is that?
Okay, get ready for this. So recently in Chicago, we actually captured a group of protesters in a convoy following federal agents. Now, to some people, this is very illegal, but to the local news, they're referring to this as a bunch of volunteers.
What their objective was, but they were followed very closely by a number of volunteers who were honking their horns and blowing their whistles to alert residents.
And running stop signs.
Actually, this is around the school, isn't it?
So in this video, we're gonna look at the aftermath of this convoy. Eventually, federal agents got fed up, used pepper balls, and also almost arrested people. So we're gonna dig into this. Now, before we start the video, make sure you guys please like the video. It's the #1 way you guys are helping this channel, and it also helps others see the videos as well. And we've been covering Operation Midway Blitz pretty much every single day. I don't think people realize what's really going on in Chicago, and people need to see. So thank you so much for the support. Okay, so first things first, you really had to cross the line if Homeland Security is going to engage you with pepper balls. In fact, Homeland Security could get in a lot of trouble for using pepper balls on a civilian if it was not warranted. However, we literally have the home footage of what the convoy looked like.
Watch it.
Oh, they're turning?
Yeah.
I thought he was gonna block us or some shit. Están yendo en...
Come to the arc, Alex.
So we could do a game plan?
Okay, copy. Everyone's gonna plan something.
So, if you guys want to see what it's like to be in one of these convoys, I already reacted to the video. I will pin it at the end of the video so you guys can just click onto it and watch the whole video. Now, like I mentioned before, the local news did a report on this convoy, and it was an all-day event. But the local news is just referring to this convoy as a group of activists or a group of volunteers. Now, let me know in the comments how you feel about this report.
The agents have been very busy in the southwest side all day today. It's unclear what they may have been looking for or what their objective was, but they were followed very closely by a number of volunteers who were honking their horns and blowing their whistles to alert residents.
And running stop signs and almost crashed into the agents. We just saw that live stream.
Community leaders called on volunteers to follow the federal agents, honking horns and blowing whistles to alert neighbors that the agents were nearby.
Who are these community leaders? Why are they not giving the names? Are they local lawmakers? Because we've seen on my own channel, there seems to be a correlation of these videos coming out. Whenever a local lawmaker talks about the license plates belonging to one of these federal vehicles, somehow there is a cross-reference or a connection between these videos and the same license plates that get released. Now again, we don't know who they're talking about with the local community members, but just something to keep in mind.
They urged many to close their windows and lock their doors. Led by Border Patrol Commander Greg Bovino, the agents got out of their vehicles numerous times, holding their weapons on the street in an apparent show of force, but on most occasions take no one into custody.
And if you are subscribed to my channel, you know this is a very accurate statement. Almost never do any of these members of a convoy or people following or obstructing Homeland Security, they almost never get arrested. I mean, check this out right from the convoy.
What up?
Border Patrol. If
How
you
are
continue
you?
to follow us today, you're going to be placed under arrest.
Why is that? Why is that? What am I? How am I impeding?
I don't need you staying on
Am
top of us.
am I honking? Am I blowing my whistle? Am I notifying people?
I'm asking you to stop following us, okay? You will be arrested. Thank
All
you.
right. Well, you might as well take me now, I guess. I'm gonna keep following.
And there you go. Oftentimes on camera, people will admit, yeah, I am following you, and I'm going to keep following you. What are you going to do about it? And by the way, make sure to please subscribe to my channel so I can keep you up to date with stories like this. You're not going to see this on the mainstream, and if you see the QR code, that's for people watching TV. You can just use your cell phone, scan the QR code. It's a lot easier for you to subscribe. Thank you so much. As I'm making this video, I was just literally sent a live stream of somebody following ICE agents. This is how much it happens. This is why I make these videos, to show you guys this is a real problem. And for some reason, it's like the mainstream is acting like this doesn't happen every day. So again, like these videos, push it out. This is not made up stuff. It literally just got sent to me as I'm making this video. And here we go. Let's watch this one right here. Again, this is on 11/6 from the same convoy we're talking about. Where is the police department? I mean, I couldn't even imagine doing this where I live. Imagine you're like, you know, we're gonna be a bunch of volunteers and we're gonna follow the local police, lay on our horns. I'm not gonna tell people where I live, and please don't do the same, but think about it. Anywhere else in the United States, how fast would you be pulled over if you follow a state trooper and did this exact same thing? Now imagine this is happening every day with federal agents, and look how erratic the driving gets. Again, from this perspective, we are following the ICE agents. It's crazy, right? And trust me, it's just as annoying for me. I'm wearing headphones, but I think it's very crucial we see the raw footage and what is happening here. And that's the #1 sign you know what the intentions are. It's not like everybody just has a whistle in Chicago. No, the whistles have been distributed by groups to give to the people to follow the agents. Running a red light on camera. You can't make this stuff up. I mean, and the other crazy part about all of this is that a lot of times, again, people will post their own crimes on TikTok. Yeah, so that's that.
Citizen. Unbelievable.
Fuck out my hood, nigga.
And there's Greg Bovino. He has to be enemy #1 when it comes to all things anti-ICE. People do not like Greg Bovino. In fact, what I'm realizing is he's kind of starting to become like this anomaly or a trophy. If you're able to follow him and capture him on camera, post it on the internet, this is what it looks like these people are looking for. In fact, I had just told you guys I got a live stream video of a convoy. Turns out they were following Greg Bovino and they started to corner and curse out Greg Bovino. I will post that video tomorrow, so make sure again to please subscribe so you guys can see that raw footage. But the part I still cannot understand is, where are the police? It's not like you're a cop just sitting there and you don't hear the honking and the whistles. They have to know this is happening, and I think there might need to be an investigation into the 911 or the radio communications. Like, how don't they know this is happening? Or Or are they just looking the other way? Because what are you supposed to do as a police officer if you see a convoy of protesters and they're breaking all of the civil laws in your area? Is that permissible because you guys don't like ICE? I don't know. I'm just asking the questions, and I'm trying to show you guys the full story here. I mean, this just happened today, but it shows you how far people are willing to go to show everyone they don't like ICE or Homeland Security doing these deportations in Chicago.
Tanya, a group of 14 suburban moms, as they call themselves, were arrested a short time ago outside the Broadview ICE facility here after sitting in a circle blocking the middle of this road where Cook County Sheriff deputies, you can see, are standing right now as a symbol of civil disobedience. Take a look at this video. These are moms from across the western suburbs, they say, and they're demanding an end to the campaign of chaos. That's how they describe DHS's Operation Midway Blitz immigration enforcement. Protesters say they're enraged by the terror being inflicted upon their communities, and their friends, relatives, caregivers, and neighbors are living in fear. So these moms tell us they want to amplify what's happening throughout the Chicagoland area and mobilize their community to stand with immigrant families.
Again, I keep telling you guys, people do not realize what is going on in Chicago. The fact that you have a bunch of moms, I guess they have kids, and they're willing to get arrested. I don't know how that works, but they're willing to get arrested for this cause. Guys, this is a big deal. This is a motivator for people who don't like ICE. The other thing I want to point out is, at the Broadview ICE facility, these are not ICE officers or Homeland Security officers arresting any of these people. These are the state troopers or local police doing these arrests, or the sheriffs.
Is worse than you can imagine on the streets right now, and it is because of the federal immigration enforcement that we're seeing every day. And our communities are living in abject fear, and it's time for people that look like us to take a stand and put our own physical bodies in front of those bodies, because it is unacceptable.
Now, at the same time, a car caravan of about 20 cars, I'd say, have been driving by the intersection of Beach and Lexington outside the Broadview ICE facility here, honking their horns with signs posted on their vehicles.
This is not the same convoy we've been following.
That say,
just so you guys know, again, there's many different convoys.
Hands off Chicago, also in protest of the ongoing immigration enforcement. Back out here live, there are more protests planned for today, including one happening right now, a multi-faith prayer service that's happening over here closer to the intersection. We will have much more coverage on what happens here today on our news on ABC7, but for now, we're...
And here's the reality of the situation. I keep saying this, in 2026, expect this to be a little more chaotic, unfortunately. We obviously don't want that. To the Trump administration, it's quite simple. As long as the local police start working with ICE agents, all of this will start to tone down, and you're not going to see these broad sweeps. But in 2026, there's going to be some reshifting of federal agents. More agents are going to flood the streets, particularly in sanctuary cities, and we're also going to see leadership changes throughout sanctuary cities. Greg Bovino seems to be, he's going to be in charge of Chicago in 2026, but in other sanctuary cities like Portland and LA, Greg Bovino is going to be in charge of picking people just like Greg Bovino, a more aggressive officer who's on the front lines doing these broad sweeps. So again, even if you dislike ICE, you are welcome here to understand this is the full scope of the story, and there has been a push from the Trump administration to try and figure out a solution. The Trump administration and Greg Bovino, they've been very clear. They're not trying to cause chaos and harm, and they're not targeting schools. However, what's happening is there's no choice but to conduct broad sweeps because Homeland Security cannot go into the prison systems and go specifically after criminals. That's the argument from the Trump administration. And this is another news story a lot of conservatives don't even know is happening. This is massive.
Department of Homeland Security is already saying they will appeal Judge Sarah Ellis's order. The injunction largely mirrors and replaces the TRO that preceded it, forbidding the use of force against journalists and peaceful protesters and strictly limiting the manner and place in which chemical agents may be deployed.
Remember when not too long ago a judge tried to get Greg Bovino to speak in front of the judge every day to talk about the use of tear gas? This is the complete update. This is what the judge has now ordered.
Even as today's ruling went their way, plaintiffs' attorneys acknowledge they still have a long way to go as they seek to ensure that federal agents participating in Operation Midway Blitz follow the use of force rules imposed on them today by Judge Sarah Ellis.
We will ask for sanctions, and we will make sure that this injunction is enforced across the region wherever these government agents go.
In my personal opinion, as somebody who covers this stuff every day, I do see this actually backfiring on protesters and these lawmakers. If anything, I have covered this every single day. One thing we notice from Homeland Security, they are very tolerant when it comes to arresting these convoys or people obstructing. I truly believe this judicial order is now going to force Homeland Security to start arresting these protesters or these convoys, since the use of force is going to be used against federal agents. I mean, this judge is quite literally questioning the use of force, even though Homeland Security agents have been surrounded before in the past and have been forced to use tear gas. A judge is saying, nope, that's not true. I have decided otherwise.
Before entering her order, Ellis spent a large portion of today's hearing recounting not just the many use of force events that have been extensively documented across the Chicago area since September, but what she considers the multiple lies the government has told to justify its action.
I'm actually shocked we're using these images because these were the beginning days of the Broadview protest. Again, I was covering this, and people were standing in front of the vehicles and on their own TikToks talked about the times when to block the vehicles because we know the calendar and the schedule of when vehicles are leaving. Again, it's all shocking stuff, but I want to give you guys the full context here.
Against protesters, clergy, and journalists. I don't find defendants' version of events credible, said Ellis. This conduct shows no signs of stopping. I see little reason for the use of force that federal agents are currently using. The judge made her decision after a day-long hearing yesterday, which included the testimony of nearly a dozen witnesses, including portions of Border Patrol Commander Gregory Bovino's deposition taken last week.
I believe that all uses of force that I've seen and all arrests that I've seen have been more than exemplary.
Ellis today called Bovino out for at least 3 instances in
out of like the 1,000 we've been covering,
which his deposition contradicted the video evidence, including the Little Village incident on October the 23rd, when Bovino publicly said he had thrown a tear gas canister at protesters only after being hit by a rock in the head.
And by the way, we literally have this on footage, which is why I'm a little surprised the judge went through with this. Specifically where protesters were banging on the doors of federal agents' vehicles. We have protesters on camera threatening the agents and saying more people will show up. We have on footage people throwing objects at the agents. And also at this camera orientation to the back left, so standing right back here, there is a lawmaker standing in this protest. My biggest fear we're going to start to see is that the Trump administration is going to start to get a little petty. If you're going to start trying to prosecute our agents, hey, you had a lawmaker there, we're just going to prosecute him, we're going to prosecute you, every single person who's standing in this crowd, you'll be prosecuted. Again, that is my biggest fear that we're going to start seeing in Chicago is these petty prosecutions back and forth. It's one thing to protest against ICE and Homeland Security, but it's another thing to be involved with these protests that cross the line, hitting on the windows of these vehicles, throwing objects. Again, I'm a little worried that this is going to start happening. Leave your comments down below.
Under oath, he had thrown it before. It is difficult to see how an injunction requiring the government to follow the Constitution could possibly be harmful, said Ellis. Reacting to her decision, a spokesperson for the Department of Homeland Security today said, in part, this injunction is an extreme act by an activist judge that risks the lives and livelihoods of law enforcement officers.
Especially because the use of tear gas and pepper balls, it's preventative. It's to avoid for it to get too extreme. And now a judge is questioning, hold on, you threw that tear gas before you got hit with the rock. So there's no denial that Greg Bovino still got hit with a rock and there were objects being thrown. This is why, again, we need to look at the totality of the context here. Again, I completely understand if you hate ICE, but the problem is if a judge has the power to tell Homeland Security you cannot use preventative measures, I mean, this is a little problematic to the Trump administration. And again, I would not be surprised if they start to prosecute a ton of lawmakers if they're going to get involved with these protests and be the ones like on foot in front of these agents. We literally have seen this before.
Officers, DHS law enforcement,
to include congressional candidates. One of them has already been charged.
Will continue to enforce the laws of our nation, just as they do every day across the country. We shall appeal. Now it is.
Yeah, of course they're going to appeal. Okay, so things are starting to amplify in Chicago. I mean, we have moms who are willing to just get arrested for the cause. You have convoys who are now frequently really following ICE agents. This is day number 2 in a row where a massive convoy has followed agents, not just 1 or 2 people following agents. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and the intentions behind these videos is to give a fair critique, be fair to both sides, and hopefully have a peaceful conversation. That is all this is. Thank you guys so much for being here, and as I always say on my channel, I always advocate for peace, so please pray for peace. Thank you guys so much for everything. God bless, and we'll see you all later.